Let's move on to a little politics, and let's talk about the race for the White House, where the final numbers are in from last Thursday night's presidential debate. Ratings indicate that more than 51 million people watched the debate, where former President Donald Trump repeatedly made false claims, by the way, and President Biden struggled to dispel concerns about his age. The debate opened up new worries over the stakes of a possible Trump presidency and sparked discussion about whether Biden should be his party's nominee. Personally speaking, I'm on the record, I don't believe that should be the case. I'm not apologizing for that to anybody. But I want to emphasize something. It's of no disrespect to President Biden. If you are on the left, you're looking at the economy, you're looking at job participation, you're looking at the economic numbers, you're thinking about so many other things that are transpiring. You're thinking about Roe v. Wade and Biden's desire to turn that back to what it once was before it was overturned a year ago. You're thinking about so many things on a positive note, and you're of the mindset that this president has done a relatively good job. If you're on the right, you think we should be drug tested because we must be smoking something. You're thinking about inflation. You're thinking about the border security. You're thinking about crime percolating throughout the United States of America. You're thinking about woke culture, and you're saying, what on earth are you talking about? Either way you slice it, I'm not going to apologize for what I feel, because I think the point that everybody is missing is that for me personally, I'm not judging the job that Joe Biden has done as president. I'll leave that to the aficionados to do, on both sides of the aisle for that matter. What I'm talking about is an individual. If you look at the tape, if you look at video, if you see him from just 4 years ago in 2020 compared to what he looks like now, yes, as Representative James Clyburn said Sunday morning on CNN, along with various other surrogates of Joe Biden, he's always had a stuttering issue. We didn't see stuttering, ladies and gentlemen. We saw brain farts. That's what we saw. And you see a man that, as Chris Cuomo articulated Friday on this very show, has clearly lost his fastball. I think that people are conflating the arguments. They're talking about the job that he has done, because if you're a leftist, if you're a liberal, if you're a progressive, you certainly appreciate the job that Joe Biden has done and the job that Joe Biden has tried to do compared to what you would get from a Donald Trump presidency. That's one argument, and I get that part. That's not what this is about. This is about Joe Biden looking at him and asking yourself, is he the ideal candidate for the next 4 years, starting in January of 2025? That's what this argument is about. That's what this discussion is about. And before anybody else wants to sit up there and look at somebody, a novice like myself talking politics, or somebody like Chris Cuomo who you want to undress, or anybody else, let me remind you, New York Times calls Biden's campaign for re-election, quote, a reckless gamble. The New Yorker magazine says Biden, quote, is no longer a fluid or effective communicator. The Chicago Tribune said last week's debate should be met with just one word: enough. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution says, quote, it's time for Biden to pass the torch. I won't get into the CBS, YouGov poll, the USA Today, Suffolk University poll, the Morning Consult poll, the CNN flash poll of debate watchers that saw Trump beating Biden 67% to 33%. I won't even get into all of that. I'm only articulating those points to point out that there's millions upon millions of people that are concerned about what we witnessed Thursday night in that debate, when Biden mumbled and Trump said, I don't understand what he said. I don't think he understands what he said. This is the soundbite you're going to hold on to. When he sat up there and forgot what he was talking about and buried his head and looked like he was about to fall asleep, and then looked up and said Medicaid. This is what we're going to talk about. Chris Cuomo brought this up, not me. And so I just think it's important for me personally to say to the president, President Biden, I know you categorically and emphatically denied that you ever said that you were a transitional president. And so did your administration. I get those denials. But there is no question that there were many people who thought you said that and had the impression that you were just in it to save our democracy, because in 2020 we were in such a bad state of affairs that we desperately needed you. But those 4 years were supposed to buy 4 years for Kamala Harris, for Gavin Newsom, governor of California, for Wes Moore, even the governor of Maryland, for Hakeem Jeffries, who's in the House of Representatives, or various other viable candidates to take over the job that are considerably younger. Joe Biden has been in the Senate for 36 years. That's how long he was in the Senate. Then he served 8 years as the vice president of the United States of America. And now he's given us 4 more years as president. That is 48 years as a servant of the people, as an elected official, as somebody who's committed to serve. How come we can't look at the president of the United States and simply say, we appreciate your service to this country. Thank you so much. You've done a great service in the eyes of millions of people throughout this country, but it's time for somebody else. What's wrong with that? Let's keep in mind that Bill Maher, for Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO, called Biden on Friday Ruth Bader Biden. Why did he say that? Because the former Supreme Court Justice of these United States, who did a phenomenal job as a Supreme Court Justice in the eyes of so many millions of American citizens, the most glaring mistake she made was when the Obama administration was calling for her to retire so they could select her successor and to make sure that there was another liberal on the court. She said no because she was convinced there was no way in hell Donald Trump could win the election. She thought Hillary was going to win it, and she wanted the first female president to elect her successor as a Supreme Court justice. She was wrong. Trump won. She ultimately passed away, and he got to select her successor along with 2 others, which has drastically flipped the balance of the court 6-3. That's what we're looking at. And so if that happens, and that's in the backdrop for the Democratic Party, why ignore the specter of Joe Biden potentially making the same mistake? Not with direct correlation, but nevertheless, if somebody else, younger, sharper, with their fastball, as Chris Cuomo articulated Friday, was available to fight that fight against Donald Trump, why, approaching the age of 82, with 48 years of service as your backdrop, would you not take the position, let me step aside before the Democratic National Convention and pave the way for somebody else younger to make that move? And I don't mean young as to engage in age discrimination, because there are plenty of people in their 70s and their 80s that are sharp as a tack. Joe Biden doesn't appear to be one of them. And the reason why I use the word appear is because appear is all you need, because appear is all that matters in an election this tight. Why would you not take that position for the betterment of the country? That's all I'm saying. No disrespect, no shade, no questioning the job that he's done, none of that. Simply saying it might not be your time anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, I cover sports. And I'm going to cover sports till the day I die. Every single season, we've seen somebody who are past their prime. It's a player, it's a coach, it's an executive, hell, it's even an owner. We say your time has come. In Minnesota right now with Glenn Taylor, what is Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez saying? Your time is up, bro. You signed an agreement with us. Give us ownership, vast majority ownership. Your time is up. You're in your 80s. It's your time. It's not your time anymore. We've seen that happen with executives. We've seen that happen with coaches. We've seen that happen with players. We've seen it happen in the world of sports, in the world of politics, where you are in possession of dominion over our lives. Economically, healthcare, national security, borders. The list goes on and on. You trying to tell me that it's okay for an 81, soon to be 82-year-old who's clearly lost his fastball, to not have the decency to say, hey, I served my time. I'm good. You can't do that? You can't do that? That's all I'm asking.